How's it going, vaqueros, and welcome back to another shotgun video. And today we're going to be talking about multiplayer. No, I haven't completely abandoned multiplayer. I still play it occasionally, but yes, Warzone is my main focus generally. But I do like to cover multiplayer, like I said, and so this video is for you guys that are multiplayer fiends. Now, I've been getting a few people tell me here and there that the MX Guardian, ever since it got reintroduced with its new triggers, or rather old triggers, in semi-auto mode in multiplayer is actually a pretty solid shotgun, and I felt the same way when I was using it, so I wanted to make a video that talked about it and compared it to its closest counterpart, which would be the Haymaker from Modern Warfare 3. So I'm going to compare the two and talk about my thoughts on them and which one I think is still better overall. As always, timestamps will be in the description below if you want to hop to a certain part of the video. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. So we'll kind of flip-flop back and forth between the two, but first we'll start with the MX Guardian. So up close and personal in terms of its damage, it does about 30 damage per pellet point blank. So it deals roughly 120 damage up close and personal at point blank ranges. Now when you have 150 health, obviously it's a two-shot kill with this thing. Now with the Haymaker, it deals about 50 damage per pellet, making it deal roughly 200 damage up close and personal, which, as you know, is a one-shot kill. And to me, this is pretty hard to beat. It's spammy, but it still has that super solid one-shot potential up close with tons of pellet damage. This makes really aggressive playing actually really rewarding with this thing in general if you can close that gap. Now I want to point out that in its first drop off, the Haymaker does 120 damage, so it ends up dealing the same damage as the MX does in its max damage range. But what about the ranges and the time to kill? So for the MX Guardian, its two-shot range, which is generally pretty good for these shotguns, I was able to get it consistently out to the 7.6 meter mark, which isn't bad, and honestly it feels pretty good with how fast it can shoot. Now if we take the rate of fire this thing has, which in the game stats says it's around 342.9 RPM, our time to kill for this two-shot range is about 174 milliseconds, which is pretty good. Now for the Haymaker, it does drop down to a two-shot after its one-shot range, like I said, which its one-shot range is out to about 2.8 meters, but for its two-shot range, which goes out to about 9.3 meters, it's definitely better than the MX Guardian's two-shot range and potential, but the time to kill for its two-shot, given its 250 RPM rate of fire, is at about 240 milliseconds, so technically the Haymaker does have more range in this regard, but it loses to the MX Guardian in sheer time to kill in its two-shot range. Now after these guns have their two-shot ranges, it drops basically to a three-shot kill out to basically wherever the gun can get a hit marker, which for the MX Guardian, the three-shot goes out to about 22.9 meters, and then the Haymaker goes to 21.6. So even though the MX technically does have a slightly further range, it's not super practical, so I'm not really going to count that, but yes, the MX Guardian in this range will have a better time to kill overall, which is cool to see. And before we get on with the next part of the video, I do want to have one quick announcement. Hey guys, this is Oswald. He's a posh fellow with lots to do, and when he needs to go from this to this, he needs some kind of a pick-me-up. Luckily, Oswald has GFUEL, and Gumi Gang is now officially partnered with GFUEL Energy, which means all you guys watching, and of course Oswald as well, can use code GUMI at checkout when you buy any GFUEL products online to get an additional 20% off your order. Oswald's excited because right now there's a new Year of the Dragon bundle that has a cool shaker packed with GFUEL samples and a surprise gift inside. So if you're hankering for something new to try or want to give GFUEL a shot, whether it's their powder tubs or caffeinated cans, make sure to use code GUMI at checkout or use my affiliate link below in the description. So getting back onto the video, if you stack on the biggest barrels for range that you can for each of these guns, the MX Guardian has a two-shot range of about 9.3 meters with its big barrel, and the Haymaker goes out to a whopping 12-ish meters with its big long barrel. Now damage and range aren't always everything though, even though the Haymaker is generally on top in pretty much every way except really time to kill generally. Let's talk about some mobility and things besides the damage and the range. So they're both pretty similar in this regard. They're both kind of slow and awkward, especially when it comes to aiming down sights and especially when you put on some big barrels. But for me, what really sets the Haymaker apart from the MX Guardian more than it already is that the attachment options it has suit the gun way better than it does for the MX Guardian. For example, if you want to rock a tack stance build, the Haymaker can get some incredibly tight spreads, and it even has a vibro dot laser to remove spread entirely. The MX Guardian, it can't really get that tight. It's okay for close-ish range, it's not really too much of an issue, but if you're trying to really push that two-shot range, it can get very inconsistent, and I found myself getting lots of hit markers with tack stance on this thing in particular. In my opinion, with the MX Guardian, it was way better if you would aim down sights sights and use the Bryson choke, but it's painfully slow when you want to aim down sights and with some big barrel attachments, and you really can't get much help from other attachments to make it even faster. So what are my general thoughts about the two and sort of my consensus about which one's better? Well, as you might expect, the Haymaker, in my opinion, blows the MX Guardian out of the water for a few different reasons. One, it has a one-shot kill potential range, which is incredibly nice to have. It's seriously good, especially if you're looking for close range feeds. It's a great shotgun for that. Even though it lacks in the time to kill compared to the MX Guardian, it's not by that much, and the two-shot range is incredibly nice on this thing. And also the attachments on this gun are incredibly nice and lend themselves really well to the gun overall. The MX Guardian is good. It's still a solid shotgun. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just comparatively speaking, I would rather have the Haymaker in pretty much every scenario. The MX Guardian, at least in terms of its semi-auto trigger, again, it's still a solid shotgun, and if you want to switch it up, go for it. Use this thing. It is fun, and it does catch people off guard because no one rocks this thing. I mean, when's the last time you saw anyone using the MX Guardian in multiplayer? But it is kind of awkward. Its iron sights are a little obtrusive. If you want to aim down sights at the Bryson choke, good luck getting a fast aim down sight speed without killing its range or something like that. Overall, it's just a lot of the attachment options don't really help the gun that much, besides maybe giving it more range. And overall, the Haymaker just kind of steals the show, in my opinion. And when I was using them, I can definitely say from a more subjective standpoint, the Haymaker certainly felt better, absolutely, but also there's the stats to back it up. So my consensus, MX Guardian, good shotgun. Haymaker, great shotgun. So that's pretty much going to do it for this video, guys. As always, I want to know down below in the comments, what are your thoughts on these shotguns? Do you think the MX Guardian, specifically in semi-auto mode, is actually really good and much better than I'm blending it out to be? Do you think that the Haymaker is not nearly as good as I think it is? And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.